Thank you for joining. Today, I am super enthused about our guest. This individual has, I cannot even mention all the certifications and everything he's done with his life. This interview is probably going to take more than 1 hour because we're going to go down and dirty to all the details of his life. He goes from certifications and different medical fields to have you ever met anyone who was a midwife at the age of 22? You will be meeting with him today. How about a sex coach? And also an individual who teaches CEOs and management and corporations on many, many things, including public speaking. Please help me welcome Mr. Dr. Arnie Aniel. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm actually great. Maybe I should say I'm great. Thank you so much, Elena, for inviting me to this podcast. It's my
Oh,
very first.
is your very wow, but you have your very first as a guest, but
Yes,
not as a host, correct?
that's right. That's right.
And just to make it interesting, tell us where are you located right now?
At the moment, I'm in Bangkok, Thailand, but originally from the Philippines. But I've been living and working in Bangkok, Thailand for more than 20 years.
So we are recording right now from San Diego, California, all the way to Thailand, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So we have a pre-interview and it was such a beautiful connection and all the things that we perceive that we have in common, all the connections that we have. And I'm so inspired to ask you so many questions. So let's go to the beginning. Um, you share with me that when you were a young man, you have a specific desire and the career that you wish to study. However, because of a financial situation, you were not able to study exactly what you wanted, right? So
Right.
tell us about it.
Ever since when I was really young, I always wanted to become a doctor. I don't know why, but I really admire when I see doctors. I like the white uniform. So as far as I can remember, I always wanted to be a doctor. But when I reached the time that going to university, it didn't happen because of some financial restraints. It's not cheap to study medicine in the Philippines during those times. And I have three brothers, all older than me. And to do that, I asked my dad, I wanted to become a doctor. So what do you think? And he said, yeah, we can do it. I didn't like the answer. I said, we can really do it. It's like I saw in his face. And I also thought of my brothers that probably, yes, I would become a doctor, but probably we have to, all of us had to go on a diet to pay for the tuition fee. So it's like, no, no. So I opted to study nursing instead.
And you become a certified nurse
Yes.
and a midwife.
Yes, again to that. A licensed nurse first. A licensed
A
nurse first.
licensed nurse first. And
And then licensed midwife.
what guide you to? You have so many licenses, Arnie. I just impressed. You have a license to oh my goodness, almost everything. I hope you have a driver's license. I'm just joking.
Elena, except for the driver's license.
Oh my gosh, are
I
you
don't
kidding?
drive. I don't like to drive.
It's like my intuition said, say that, Elena, say that. Well, that is funny. All right. So, Thailand, make sure that you don't let Arnie in the wheel because that's the only test he's not going to pass. He's not going to pass. That will be very interesting. All right. So, tell me about your experience of a very young man as a nurse and a midwife. What is that you remember? What do you learn from that, and what do you keep in your heart that you still remember?
What's actually very interesting is I wasn't able to work in a hospital as a nurse.
Oh,
Yes. I applied in different hospitals with my friends. All of them were accepted, but not me. I don't know why. And then one day I was applying for a company nurse position, and I met this guy who told me like, why don't you apply as a clinical instructor instead to teach? I said, I don't think I'm qualified to teach because one, of course, I didn't have that experience yet. I had the experience when I was studying nursing, but not as a nurse, like a licensed nurse. I just got my license. So I wanted to gain experience because in the Philippines, nurses go abroad. That's the mentality.
oh, all
Oh,
right.
yes. Especially until now. You're a nurse, you go abroad.
And
America, England.
that was the original plan. Pardon me.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
So if you're a nurse, it means you're going somewhere else, not in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to gain experience, but it didn't happen until, as I said, I met this guy and it encouraged me to apply as a clinical instructor. So I went to that college and I was accepted. They asked me for a teaching demonstration. I did a teaching demonstration and they said, oh, wow, you can be a very good teacher. And then I was accepted and then I started teaching midwifery students.
Who? What do you know, huh? You'll be
Exactly.
you're just like that.
And as a clinical instructor, you have to teach in the class and in the hospital. Then when I was teaching, I can't remember well whether after one semester or after 1 year, the government announced that even if you're a licensed nurse, if you're teaching midwifery students, you need to be a licensed midwife too.
Oh, and you
I
what?
didn't have a choice. Yeah, I didn't have a choice. I was teaching my students and I had to take the board exam with my student. Can you imagine the pressure?
Yeah, I can imagine. Tell
Like
me you
our
passed the
clinical
test, please. Tell me you passed the test.
I was like giving them the review. I was teaching them, and at the same time, I was preparing myself for the board exam. And
Okay.
luckily, fortunately, I did. I did pass the exam. And when I passed the exam and I told my dad, I remember this very well. I said, I'm a midwife now, a licensed midwife. And my dad said, can you change that to mid husband? I don't think you should be called as a midwife. I said, that's the title. You cannot change the position. There's no mid husband. So it's like for him, it was like, okay, if midwife, then midwife. So that's why I became a midwife, because if the government required us, those who are already teaching midwifery student, we were required to take the test as well.
You know what, Arnie? The mic is making a lot of sound, like air or something, or it's with the shirt. Can you put it a little higher or something? Yeah, it's.
This one is better.
Actually, I still hear it. Oh, hold on. No, yeah. Is there like air in there?
My air. Wait. Let me just.
Let's get warm, or cold, whatever it is.
Okay. You can edit that part for sure.
Yeah, much. No, yeah, of course, much better. I don't hear it. Whatever was there is not there anymore. So
Okay.
mhm.
Do you want to start? No.
What?
Do you want to start all over again
Oh,
without the?
no, we don't need to. We
Okay.
don't need to.
Okay. Okay.
I thought you said if I want to fart. I'm like, why would I want? It's like, well, I don't want to fart.
No. Okay.
Are you pre-nourished or something? I'm like, no, that's not what he said. What would he? Well, he was interested in my personal business. All right, so wow, Arnie. So it's very impressive, and even though you were afraid, you just went for it, right? So how old were you when this happened?
I was 22, 23.
Wow. Can you imagine a 22-year-old now being a certified midwife and helping other women to give birth. It's just interesting, right?
Very young.
Very, very, very young. Did you have the opportunity? Well, of course, right? You study. You had the opportunity to help other,
Yes.
I guess, other women. And
Yes.
what is your experience on that process, the process of life?
Scared. Like, of course, I had the experience when I was a student to deliver babies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a requirement. And then when I was required to take the board exam to become a licensed midwife, I had to deliver more babies.
Mm.
It was, of course, at that very young age, the meaning was not that impactful to me. It was different when I actually had my students. When I was a student doing it was totally different when I was already a clinical instructor with a student doing it.
Oh, wow.
That was the time I really appreciated more that this is life. This is not like you're not working in an office that you write something and then you made a mistake and then you just throw away that paper. This one is a baby. This is a life. You cannot just like, okay, let's make another baby if something went
No,
wrong.
no,
So
no, no. There's no remake. So, is there any story that you want to share, that something that was special for you?
For me, it's more on when I observe these women with their husbands. And I don't know whether this is it, what will I say? Because I had the chance to witness women who delivered babies and they were said it was so painful, but at the same time it was so rewarding and meaningful once they saw their babies. But at the same time they would say this is going to be the last. And then I saw them again after a year, after a year. It's like, oh no, I'm not going to do this again. And then after a year, oh, you're back.
It wasn't as painful. Well, in the mind, there is no pain without pleasure. And I usually use the example of the mother giving birth and the pain of going through the delivery, but the pleasure of having that baby in their arms,
Yeah.
right? So they are
Yes.
connected. They are entangled. There's no one without the other. And I can give you many examples. And one of those we probably be talking about a little later today. But let's continue with the teaching.
Yes.
So you became also a teacher at a very young age, and you probably have students that were older than you at that point, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. I had students because it's their second degree. And then the others because they stopped and then they continued. But most of them are really young women. Most of my students, or probably all my students during that time, were women, young women
Mm.
who wanted to become a midwife.
I also remember you mentioning that you became a teacher, an English teacher.
Before an English teacher, I became a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, okay. Let's don't skip it. Very important. So first you deliver babies, and then you go to the next generation. They grow up a little bit, and now you're teaching them in school, right? Kindergarten. How old are these kids? 4, 5 years
Elena,
old?
thank you very much. You know, I never realized that I started delivering babies like very young. And then when I moved to Thailand, yeah, I started teaching kids, like
Yeah.
young children, 3 years old, 4 years old.
Yeah, if you continue with that pace, you will be teaching really, really older people, and not long, from now. It just seems like you go and that there are generations.
Yes.
The baby you gave birth, you helped to give birth a few years ago. They're going to be your students.
Yes.
Maybe, right? Like,
A full circle of life.
yes, you have teach and you have provide services in the whole circle of life.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't think about it. Yeah, so I started teaching young kids when I came to Thailand because that was the best way for me to get a job. Because it was not possible for me to apply and work in the hospitals because of the language barrier. That was the very first thing there. And then the second, they required us to take the board exam, which was impossible for me because I didn't speak, read, and write the language. So the easiest way is to become a teacher.
Oh, wow. And what were your intimate conversations with men? That's the name of this podcast. But in reality, this is intimate conversations with men about the intimacy of career, right?
Oh, yes. Yes.
And the
Yes.
different and the evolution of your life, and how do you transcend into one profession to another as your life require that you do that. So you became a English teacher.
After that,
After that, I should be writing
yes.
this down so if we get somewhere.
So nurse, then became a midwife, and then became a kindergarten teacher, then an English teacher.
Are you sure you didn't do anything before being a nurse?
Before a nurse, I actually worked as a fashion designer.
Fashion designer. You know, we will be talking later about you being a sex coach. However, I think the sex coach is part of the evolution. That's before the birth, about 9 months before.
Yes.
See? So the whole circle of life.
You're very good with this, Elena. You are now making the connection. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's my gift, connecting things.
Yes.
Okay. Fashion design. How old were you when you were doing? You know, Arnie, this is amazing. This is why the connection that you and I have, right? My first entrepreneurial experience was at the age of 12. I had my own fashion design company. How old were you?
Wow. I just discovered that I had this talent of designing, like drawing, probably when I was high school, first year, second year high school. I was like high school, 13, 14 years old.
Mm.
And then I just continued drawing, designing. I had all these ideas in my mind. But when I was waiting for my board exam after my university, waiting for the board exam, I did this for a short period of time, probably a year or a year something, that I really did it professionally, meaning earning money.
What? So the purpose of that was for you to have a financial, so to have money to
Yes,
earn. And,
yes,
and,
while
and
waiting.
what is a 13, 14-year old saving money for?
No, that age I was just designing. I started
Designing.
earning. Yeah, I started earning at the age probably I graduated at the age of 2021.
Okay.
That was the time that I was able to make money out of designing.
Oh, simultaneously as you were teaching and all these other things, you were designing, and that's how you earn
Yes.
money as well.
Yes.
And what is a 22-year-old making earning money as a teacher, as a designer, and what is that doing with the money?
I had to survive because it's in our family. I'm from a working family, middle class working family. And after it was, I want to say agreement, but my parents made it clear that once you graduate, because they supported us until you graduate from university, from college. But after that, you have to earn on your own. So it's time for you to live your life. They're not going to support us anymore. Before, as a student, you have this daily allowance, right? And then everything you needed will be provided. But after I graduated, I don't want to say I don't want to say it's an agreement. It's like a rule from my parents that once you graduate, then you start earning. Then you live your life.
Wow, live your life. What a statement. Then you live your life. Do you really live your life?
Oh, yes. Especially when I came to Thailand because I was on my own. Nobody was here, like on my own. No parents, no relatives, no siblings. I had a friend who actually helped me when I came here.
And your background and your culture of Filipino culture, are family really close families?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Yes.
I mean, and you are the youngest of the siblings, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
How was for your sibling? Are you the traveler in the family?
Not real travel, but ever since, it's always in my head that I wanted to go abroad. I wanted to work outside of the Philippines. That's always the plan.
Okay.
Overseas, overseas, whatever, but outside of the Philippines. I don't
All
know
right.
why.
Maybe we were inspired by someone story, or somebody tell you of how wonderful it was to just be out of there, or something like that. I guess we all get these stories early in our lives of what do we want to do with our lives, and inspired us, or something it's in your heart.
Yes.
So what was like to be in a complete different place by yourself at the age of in the early 20s?
What it was a shock. To tell you the truth, I didn't even know that there was this country called Thailand. I had this social studies with all, yes, like all the countries. I don't know why that time I couldn't remember that I know Thailand. I don't know why. I was aware of all the other countries because we had this social studies at school. You learning all these current events, the president of other countries, capital cities of other countries. But I don't know why somehow I was not really that aware of Thailand. I don't know why. And then living here all by myself, it was a big challenge, especially because of the language.
Wow. How long it took you to actually learn the new language?
Oh, wow. At the beginning, because as a nurse, and my dad always like telling me that you have to be in the hospital. I myself was really thinking in my head, I'm a nurse, I have to be in the hospital. I have to work with the patients. I have to take care of the patients. But as I said, I was working here as a teacher. And for the
Clinical
first,
teacher.
yeah, teacher in kindergarten and English teacher. And for the first 5 years, I would say there was no acceptance that, okay, I belong here. So I didn't give myself the chance to study the language. Only like, okay, how to say to the taxi driver or when you go shopping, like how much is this? Those very basic
Basic.
conversation.
Mhm.
Yes, very basic, but not the attitude of I had to study this language to connect with the people here. That's so I can also grow in my career. That was not the plan. That was not no even a bit of an idea to really immerse myself with the culture because I'm here. I was just here in my head temporarily, just for this short period of time because I'm going to the US, I'm going to England to work as a nurse.
Wow. And so it took you said 5 years to
Yes,
finally, merge into the country, learn the language, and become one more citizen of that new place.
yes, that was the moment. This was the time when I was invited to become a head teacher of one of the, I would say, famous language center here in Thailand. That was the moment I said, probably I belong here.
Wow.
That was the moment. That was the time that I said, yes,
So you wanted to be in the medical field, but it looks like teaching was your call, or has been your call.
yes. Oh, Elena, yes. It's like after that 5 years, I realized, and when I was invited to become a head teacher, I was thinking like, oh, probably this is the career for me and this is the place for me. Because it's like I tried my best to apply. I sent applications, US, England, wherever I could send my application, but no response, not even one reply. I'm telling you, not even one. But my friends who are also nurses, they get these responses, they get the interviews, they get the job, but not me.
Arnie, would it be possible? And I'm just wondering, would it be possible that somebody was getting your correspondence and not sharing that with you?
Pa-
Somebody who didn't want you to go away? Oh, wow. you know,
yes, it's like,
I, I think that instead of you revealing us your life, I'm helping you reveal your own life, right?
Yes, because I don't know. As I said, remember from the very beginning, I was not accepted in the hospital when I was in the Philippines. And then when I tried to apply it as a clinical instructor, it went smoothly and I was accepted right away. That was the very first college that I applied to be a clinical instructor, and I was just accepted.
You know, I
As simple
watched
as that.
I watched too many movies, you know, like like the Notebook, where all the correspondence were, you know, somebody was taking and hiding the correspondence. But don't listen to me. Don't go and ask your dad what happened when I was 20. All right, so I guess the universe had a special plan for you, and you just had to fit in that plan.
Yes.
So, how was your perception of being a teacher before you became one?
Oh, wow. This is another story, Elena. Growing up in my family, it's like my dad. I don't know why, but somehow my dad really didn't like that career for us to be teachers. Somehow, because, well, probably I understand where my dad was coming from, because the salary for teachers in the Philippines, especially during those times, really like less paid profession. And to think we all consider that teaching is a noble profession. But I don't even understand why they are paid less than the other professions. So that my dad, that's why my dad had this idea that no one will become a teacher in this family. I want you to study something else. And there was even one belief in the Philippines during those times that those who actually study to become a teachers are not smart, because the requirements to study education, it's not that high.
Wow.
Everyone can almost take or study education, because the requirements, like if you go to medical field, the national test for high school, they require very high score. But for education, they require less. I don't understand why.
I will have a comment, but I'm going to reserve it for a later time when I'm not recording.
Okay. So that's why I have this idea that I shouldn't be a teacher. And probably unconsciously, because I was like told that no to teaching, no to teacher. Probably unconsciously, it's also in my head that I shouldn't be a teacher. So there was a resistance
Mm-hmm.
inside that I was not conscious.
Oh, wow. And yet, that's all you do, right?
Teach, and
They
teach.
said the vibration of our words and our thoughts matter. The universe does not recognize the word no. The universe only recognizes want to be a teacher. I want to be a teacher. And the universe listened to you, and here you are. So
Yeah.
you become an English teacher, the head of this reputable institution in Thailand.
Yes.
What happened there? What did you learn? What was your experience like there? And what was that you learned in your life? How did that serve you during that period in your life?
Actually, this is one of the most challenging career or probably jobs that I have in my life. Because as a head teacher, number one, in Thailand, especially during those times, they only love native speakers. They have this belief that native speakers teach English, but not Asians. And to be a head teacher and from the Philippines, it's something new. It's like, what? You're Filipino and you're the head teacher. And I had these experiences with some of the applicants, right? Especially the native speakers said, "Oh, okay, you're the head teacher." And during the interview, they even tried to challenge me with my knowledge about the language. And it's interesting because in the Philippines, if I may, I want this to add, because in the Philippines, if you can speak English, it means you're smart. Although it's almost like our second language. When I came and worked in Thailand, especially in the language, English skills is just one of your skills, and it doesn't define how smart you are. because in the Philippines, it's one of the measurement whether you're smart or not,
Oh,
how you
wow.
speak English. Yes. And here I am, like I was that in that time teaching English. And I was like with that kind of belief that English measures your intelligence. It's a little bit of a challenge for me because wow, I'm here and then I'm teaching this in a non-English speaking country. And it wasn't easy. I'm telling you, Elena, I was like speaking English and then all the students was like, they didn't have the idea what I was talking about because I didn't have the skills to teach non-English speaking students. My skills are for English speaking students. And so I was able to learn how to connect with not the words,
Right.
but with non-verbal cues, with body language. And I also realized that you cannot speak English, but it doesn't mean you're not smart. You have other skills.
Body language is my favorite way of communication.
Yes. Oh yes, it's like amazing. And then as I said, I've been here. I've been living and working in Thailand for more than 20 years and I saw how they grow, especially in English. And it's just amazing. Just amazing. And for me, it was a big accomplishment that I have the students know English at all. And then after courses, they can actually express themselves in English. It was like, for me, that's the biggest reward as a teacher.
Helping individuals to grow, to
Yes.
communicate, to be
Yes.
able to express what they want to say, and
Yes.
and the language, and the desired language. Amazing. So, what happened after that?
What happened after that, there was this, okay, so nurse, midwife, kindergarten teacher, English teacher. And then I had this chance. I was invited to present because as a head teacher, I had to go to different companies to sell our courses.
Yes.
Especially during those times. This was like almost more than 20 years ago. You had to present the courses that you have to companies so we can sell the courses. And I had this invitation for a hotel. They needed English classes. And since I was the head teacher, I was the one who presented. So I presented the course, and the HR manager of that hotel, who became my Thai best friend, liked the idea and really liked how I presented. So they agreed to take the courses from us, but with one, one, one.
And okay, that's a less suspense. What?
Yes. One thing that we need to agree is I had to teach one of the classes. They wanted to take two classes from us, but they said you have to teach one of the classes. And this, Elena, it's like I've never been to San Diego. I've been to Las Vegas. I don't know how I will describe how far where the center was and then the hotel. It's very far. And to teach in that hotel, it means I had to manage the center far from away from the center. So I had to teach, I had to leave the center and then to teach in that hotel. So if there will be like some challenges or problems or issues in the center, they had to call me. So managing the center away from the center, just a call. So I had to take the class, so I had to teach. And then after only a month, the managing director asked the HR manager to invite me to be their regular employee.
Oh, wow. Wow. And so that's now we go into a new profession or still
Yes. Yes, that opened the opportunity for me to become an HR professional.
and that's another connection you and I have.
Yes, we are both into HR.
HR consultants. Let's do a comparison of pardon me, Thailand's HR culture versus the United States or even California HR culture. How many hours the individuals work there per week?
48 hours.
In the United States, is 40 hours. And trust me, people want to work less than that. What is the minimum wage in Thailand?
Okay. It's different from one city to another. It depends like where is the location. But for Bangkok at the moment, if you're newly graduate from the university, it's 15,000 baht. How much is that in dollars? 400? Almost $400?
How often?
What do you mean?
Okay, so for instance, in here it's a rate per hour. So $400
Oh, no, it's a monthly salary, Elena.
monthly salary, which means an
Correct.
average of a weekly salary of $100.
Correct. That's right.
And
Because 15,000, sorry, Elena, 15,000 baht, $1, one baht is 30, at the moment, 31, 32.
okay,
But $1 US. So probably 400, yeah, something like that.
and pardon me, in what profession?
Almost all.
Minimum wage. Minimum wage.
Minimum wage. Yes.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the federal minimum wage, but the state minimum wage is about $16.50 per hour. So $16 in 10 hours, which 8 hours is one day, and 10 hours is
Yes.
$150, right? Which is
Yes.
already, it's about the average is about a daily rate, right?
Yes.
All right. So benefits. Do they have benefits like days off, holidays, vacations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This one depends from one company to another. You get the social security wherein the employer has to pay, and then the employee also pay. Then we have the health insurance, group health insurance is also given.
Is that required? Also, the employer has to provide that by
Yes.
law. Okay.
Yes.
In the United States, it depends. It varies, right? Depending on the number of employees and other requirements. But let's say that if I'm going to call it smaller, a growing company that has less than 50 employees, that's a different thing. That if it's a company who has 5,000 employees or 150 employees or 100
Yeah.
employees, that's a different requirement. All right. How about holidays?
Oh wow. What do you mean holidays? Like how many days that they are paid to go on holiday?
Okay, so what we call holiday in most of the non-United States individuals call a vacation holiday. So we call vacation, which is time off, like you go on a holiday. Holiday for us is when we celebrate a special day, for instance, Independence Day or
Okay.
Christmas. What do you call that?
Yeah, we also have those holidays. We call it public holidays.
Public holidays. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they required to be paid to the employees?
Yes. Aside from the public holidays, but for 1 year, at least the company should provide, let me just think about it, I think 13 or 14 public holidays in a year, aside from your personal vacation.
Aside from your personal vacation. So
Yes.
in the United States, the employers are not required to pay any public holidays.
Oh.
So that is an additional benefit that it depends if the company, wants to provide that or not, right? And some do, some don't. It depends on the size of the company. How about the regular holidays, which we call vacation?
Yes.
Are they required?
Yes, but this depends from one company up to another. But normally, on average, at least you get six days a year.
And it's required by law?
Yes.
The minimum. Okay, so in the United States, it's not required by law. However, there are certain regulations if you provide vacation, such as accrual and balances and all of that they have to be maintained. Interesting. How about sick leaves?
30 days a year.
Wow. Well, in California, the current rate is 5 days a year.
Oh, God. 5 days a year? 5 days a month?
5 days. No, 5 days a year. Well, it could be more, but no less than 5 days or 40 hours. I must say it's a better
You're
language.
not allowed to get sick, right?
Well, you can, but
You're
you
not
better.
paid.
Yeah, I mean, who wants to be sick, right? And
Yes.
specifically, this sick leave was created for individuals when they are sick because we didn't have this until not many years ago in California, which means this is not probably in every single state in the United States, right?
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So if you get sick, you don't get paid if you go over 5 days.
could be it. Maybe in some of the states, yeah. Not in California. And this
Oh,
is recent. This is less than 10 years. So yeah,
oh wow. Okay.
things have changed, but we have other things. But this has been interesting, right? The differences. I have employees who work in different country and come here and they want both benefits. They
Oh
want,
wow.
yeah, they're working only 5 days here, not 6 days. They work eight. The normal number of hours is 8 hours per day of work here.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Like, I think that's the most standard for most countries. Probably, I've seen that more. All right, so that was interesting. What have you learned? Let's talk about the employees and problem resolution and the issues, the claims. What makes an employee unhappy in Thailand? What do you see that's the most common claim?
It has changed through the years because the generation now and the generation before, because at the moment it's more challenging to find talents. Because a lot of young people, they just want to have their own businesses.
Yeah, what happened with people? Do you perceive that changed after 2020?
Yes. For
What
me,
happened
I
to?
noticed even before 2020.
But definitely 2020 changed things for the planet, right? Very interesting. Okay. Consistently, I can say that, based on the payroll company and the human resources company that I have, that finding talent, it has been one of the most challenging, finding what they call good employees, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um,
The one who really perform.
there you go.
Because, I mean, when we say talent, these are the people who can really contribute to the company.
Hmm.
Because not everyone can contribute. But for me, that the challenge at the moment is to really find those talents.
I think that's a general challenge. Then imagine how far we are from each other, and that definitely happens here all over the place. I just got a consult yesterday with an individual from a different continent, with an employee in California, or yeah, one employee, and still not even happy with that individual, pretending to work when it's not working, etc. And
Oh,
it's
wow.
very interesting to me that how many things employees get away with, and then sometimes they are the ones who file claims.
Yeah.
So
And there's another one, Elena, if I may add. Nowadays, you see the resume, they change from one company after another only sometimes less than a year or
yeah,
just a year something because it's their way of increasing their salaries too and the position.
I have seen that. In California, we are not allowed to ask individuals how much money they've been paid in the previous jobs unless we have an offer. So, well, it's interesting. I'm going into whole HR. I'm going HRE now, but this is the first time I do it in this podcast. I usually don't speak about it. Usually more like human behavior, but it's very interesting. And that's what I'm so inspired to do both because they're so connected and what drives people, right? And
Yes.
and finding the reasons what is behind all of that. But yes, definitely. Definitely, you're right. I've seen a lot of resumes with and you see so even That's weird. 6 months, probably. Very
Yes.
interesting.
Yeah, they change. It's like they hop from one company after another. It's like, oh, what's happening? Of course, they have their own reasons. I'm not saying that everyone just really want to have a higher salary or a higher position, but every now and then you will really, for me at least in my experience, I saw this kind of resumes wherein the applicants are like just jumping from one company, one position, and then they just ask for more and more and more in terms of salary and benefits.
That's true. That's why the employers increase benefits in California, or I must say in the country, and we are in February of 2026. I think that I perceive the biggest problems right now is had to do with immigration and
Oh,
also sexual harassment. Probably there's a lot of claims about that. It changes, right? That kind of claims change through the different generations, and I perceive those are the challenges that employers are facing right now. Not only they cannot find talent, but sometimes the talent they have are challenged with immigration uh, issues, right? And that's a complete different conversation, right? But I
yes.
see I see that being a subject of interest in documentation, keeping documentation. How about documentation? When an employee is hired, how big is a file they had to sign?
Oh, not that big. I think compared to your situation there, not that big. When we hired, only some documents are actually asked from them, and then they just sign like the contract, of course. And then there are just like for the benefits, like for example, for the social security, because it's a national document that we need to submit to the government. And other than that, no other documents that they actually sign.
Interesting. How about overtime?
Oh yes, the overtime here. Normally, if you regular employee, yes. But once you reach at least most of the companies I've worked with as a consultant or even as an employee before, once you reach the supervisory position, normally we don't give them overtime
And
pay.
and what is the overtime? After 8 hours a day or 40 hours?
Correct. Yes, after 8 hours a day, and then at least we have to provide them some time to rest before they continue working. They cannot like 8 hours and then they just continue working for another 3, 4, or 2 hours. No.
Definitely. In California, the majority of the claims is going to be around meal periods and rest breaks and overtime from the employees. You can see
Oh,
that that's going to be the majority of claims, in California. And that's a lot of more data. It's interesting. I'm really inspired to work in this field, but there's so many things that I prefer not to share since I
but
work with
Elena,
employers.
sorry, Elena, can I ask which part of HR function that you really find
The,
really
mo-
interesting for you?
the most inspiring for me is the problem solving. So
Oh,
and I have a lot of clients that just call me when that is my primary target when there is a problem. There's already that it was out of control, and just to make sure that redefine the situation and see what is happening. What I also find very interesting, and most of the times, the actual problem is the employee does not perceive to be heard by management. Something is off. Um, and I think that if we, as a group, as a company, pay a little more attention to the people around us, we will have a more awareness of what's happening. Sometimes
mm,
individuals could be sick, could be, in grief, or many things can happen. But I enjoy the one on the mind, right? Where we have to collaborate, another individual and I, and figure out what is really happening, investigate. Something happened and they call me to make an investigation, And it's very interesting to me because sometimes I said, not always the person that you are perceived to be at guilt is going to be the person responsible for this. And
Mm.
I don't say that every time, but I find that when I say it, I find things that are going that direction. Meaning, sometimes the employee who filed the claim, that's the employee who created the situation.
Oh wow. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that could be. I seen that multiple times, and sometimes I don't even know the employees because I work with new clients as a consultant, right? So I don't really know the situation, but intuitively, it's just something tells me, or like the client who is telling me about this employee, and I said, "You're not giving me all the information. Something is off," and it's very
Mm.
easy. Doing this for so many years. Now it's almost 37 years, working with people, with employees. It's just easy to, observe or know what is going to go, right?
Yeah.
I,
Oh
I
wow.
remember about 10 years ago, I was doing more payroll or, more involved with the payroll part. And I received, I believe, a fax or something or email from one of the clients. And he sent me this form that we use to process taxes. It's called W-4. And when I opened the file and I saw this from the client from one of the employees, immediately I took the phone and I called him and I said, I just wanted to tell you, I want to let you know that this employee, that new file that you just sent me, this individual is going to be problematic. And he says, I know, I'm letting him go already. 1 week,
Yeah.
right? So I I never met the employee, but just the handwriting, if you really observe, there's so many things you can tell when an employee is going to be there for a long time. I have situations with my individual to work, and it's not my interview, so I only going to share this last story, and then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
close the
please.
video.
No, I know because we have this common thing as HR,
Mhm.
and it's always nice to discuss these, things that we commonly do and face on a daily basis.
Yes. So we have we used to go to do massive hiring, right, to different locations. So we were like mobile. So I have my team with me, and I remember we were hiring multiple individuals, and one of my people, my team said, "You know what? Because it's very unusual that an employee has everything and says everything. It's very unusual." And she says, "You know what? This employee, it's for the first time, and someone who is fine and it's like perfect." And I said, "Don't trust that. You know, that's going to be the most problematic employee." And this is very interesting. Before I get back to my office, I already had a complaint from that employee about the person who told me that.
Oh wow.
And and I was very. She said she said that I have a wage. She said, "How do you know? How do you?" She said, "I'm not gonna ask you." It's very intuitive, and also observing the people. Right, as an HR, I think first of all we're human. This is what we call human resources.
That's
And
right.
that's the other thing. Be human, right? We're not dictators. We are humans working with other humans. So interesting. Very good. All right. So, English teacher,
HR professional now.
HR professional. Yes. HR. HR pro. Okay. Now let me ask you, out of that, now you're working with humans at a different capacity, right? At different.
Yes.
So what has been your biggest learning from this part of the career or your intimate career?
For me, working with people in this capacity as HR, it's a big realization for me that the most difficult part of your career, of our career, I can even say, is actually the people skills. Working with people is it's not it's not easy, but it's not also difficult for me, because that's why every time I have these leadership workshops or when I interview people for a leadership position, I always tell them that for me, people skills are very important. That's because the connection you make with the people. Because always remember that people, they join the company because of the company, the name of the company. But once they resign because of their managers or the people in the company.
Correct. I have a question that I forgot to ask. Employee handbooks or employee manuals? Do you guys have those?
Oh, yes, yes. They even sign and then they each will receive their own copy.
And how large are those? How big? How thick? How many pages?
Oh, we tried our best to make it as not as thick as possible. We follow the guidelines from the government, from the labor law, but it's not much. It's not like thick. It's just a simple manual wherein it explains all the guidelines for them to work, like how much they are paid, what if they work overtime, what are the general rules that will
Okay.
guide them on how to work.
In California, good size should not have less than, I'm going to say 65 pages as minimum. And I don't know why I have this number, because when somebody call me and says, I already have an employee handbook, can you help me? I said, you do? How many pages? And that is my standard. If they say, they have told me 12 pages, so so I have reasons to, yes, what can you possibly have in 12 pages, right?
No, not that less. What can you have in 12 pages? Okay. More than that.
Definitely, for me, it's been more like the attitude, right? The skills is one thing. The skill can be learned, and the attitude cannot be taught, right? You're a teacher.
Yes.
The attitude
Yes.
cannot be something you don't teach. You
Yes.
teach a skill, not an attitude. Beautiful. HR Pro. Where do we go from there? What's next? Baby.
Next, so the transition. I just want to mention that I'm very lucky because the first time I worked in the HR field, my boss, my immediate supervisor, who was the HR manager, was very open, supportive, and at the same time very willing to really train me to become an HR.
Okay.
Because there are some bosses or some people who are not that generous enough to share their wisdom, their experiences, or their skills. I was lucky enough to work with this, as I said, eventually who became my Thai best friend. She really gave me the opportunities to learn and be involved in HR. That's why I really learned a lot in terms of HR because of her. This was in the hotel.
What is that you like least about the HR position?
Compensation and benefits.
Okay, I'm going to tell you what I like least, and sometimes it's very difficult. Well, I am in charge of disciplining people, the one who nobody wants to handle. But my non-favorite thing, and that I know I can do it better than a lot of other people, terminations.
Oh, what?
Terminations.
Don't start with this one. I've done it. I was asked to terminate I don't want to say many times, but it's a challenge to talk and tell the people that we are letting you go.
Yeah, absolutely. I have sometimes I have other individuals with me in the room, managers, and I have all these guys there just giving me company and protection. I don't know, and I am the one who just pulled the plug, and
Yes.
it's not easy, to find the right words. But I can tell you one thing: I personally had been terminated so many times.
Oh,
And for each time, and I'm not going to give you excuses. Some people might consider that I was not a good employee, or some people, for whatever reason, I once terminated myself, right? And not just quit. I decided that I should be terminated.
yeah.
And I was just talking about that earlier today on another podcast. But every job that I have was not worse than the job before.
Oh,
So
it's basically the same.
no, it would my new job was better for some reason or another. I keep improving, and I think you probably agree. So terminated or not, there was time for me to go, and I see that on people. Usually, if that individual gave a reason to the employer, it's because he or she was not doing the greatest job. Therefore, needed to be terminated. No employer is going to terminate an employee who is the high-performing employee,
Of course.
or a great employee. And therefore, that employee is not happy. And sometimes that's what they don't understand. They just They just need to go somewhere else, and the employer is just taking that moment, and they're probably going to find a better job.
Yes, but I always, I want to share this one too, if I may add, Elena, is sometimes when employees wanted to resign and then they talk to me, I always tell them that, of course, whether it's better or not, it will always depend on your attitude, on how will you actually work in the company. But what I notice is that the problems in one company to another company are actually basically the same. The problems, only you're dealing with different people.
Absolutely. With different names. And that's what it's interesting you say, when I speak with sometimes with employees, or when I know, and not just employees, other humans, whatever they perceive to be the problem, I said, what is the name of the person creating the chaos in your life? And they're going to say John. And I said, John was in other job before, but had a different name and looked different.
Yes.
And it will be
Yes.
in that, and I promise you, it will be in your next job as well. So
Yes.
you're right. They have just different names, but they're the same characters.
Yes.
Just like in school, right? The clown, the smart, the brainy. We have these characters, same thing at work.
Yeah. You're
And by
only
the
just
way,
in a different school or different company.
and just for our listeners there, if there's any employer, I'm gonna throw something there that is magical, and trust me, this is true. If you perceive that you don't have a great team, if you want to find who is actually creating that most damage in your team, look for your best employee, and that will be your person. I know it's hard to understand, but that will be a conversation for another podcast. Maybe you invite me to your podcast, and I'll
Yes,
talk
and we
about
can
it.
talk about it.
But
Yeah.
that's definitely a true that I've seen. I've been working on this so many times. But all right, HR Pro, what happened after that?
I work as an HR. Being an HR for me is very fulfilling. What I've experienced as HR, I really enjoy, especially the interview, the recruitment part. I
Mhm.
love talking to people, interviewing them. I was able to even experience the applicants crying during the interview.
Oh wow.
There was this interview that I had. She was like trying to apply to our hotel from another hotel. And I asked her, why do you want to resign? And she said, because of my manager. And she really even cared because she was very happy in that hotel, but she's just trying to escape from the manager. And I said, sometimes it's like that person you will also meet in the next company.
Yeah,
Just
John will be in the. But
yes, John will be Jane and Jane will be Maria, but it's the same thing. But as I said, why don't you talk to your manager? Probably sometimes, communication. I always say this if I have clients and they want to have workshops, Elena, and they will say, Annie, we want workshops about communication. And communication, you never stop learning how to communicate because you're dealing with different people all the time.
absolutely. And every single person has a different set of values, and we fail to communicate on the individual's values. So definitely. And that's when they feel heard, when you really listen and see what is important to them.
Yes. Yes. So that girl really cried during the interview because she realized how much she loved the company. She's
Mm.
trying to run away from the manager, but she really loved to work in that company. And I said, have you talked to the manager? Things just to make it short, it's like she realized that I need to stay in the hotel. So she didn't really go and work with us.
I have seen that, Arnie, where an employee comes and tell me, I have a claim against my manager. And I said, okay, what is the situation? She's always mean. Okay. And that's a big label. And I said, can you please provide with only one example? And I have been in a situation when the employee is absolutely not able to provide with one single example. It just says always. Okay, if it's always, can you tell me what did she do or he did today or yesterday? And they just can't.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times it's not the manager. A lot of the times it's all that beautiful story they carry from many years, and they just put it in the new face, right?
Yes. 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 They have their own it's the attitude. That's why we already mentioned earlier, Elena, attitude is very important. Skills we can train. Attitude, if it runs in your blood, it's some people they always ask me, Annie, do you think people can change? Before I always say no. And then I realized people can change, but it takes time. And sometimes a long, long time.
Mm-hmm. A long,
Because
long time.
I was able to see people who were mean, who were unkind, who were not performing because of their relationship with other people, not because they didn't have the skills. And then I saw the change. It just so happened that I'm telling you, it took a long time.
Well, you're a believer. I said to my human behavior clients, if you're trying to change someone, just go outside, find a tree, and try to make it straight. If it's crooked, and you'll have better luck. People don't change. Don't try. You're more, I'm hopeless.
No, I always said no before until I was able to experience some people who really changed. But as I said, Elena, it took a long time. And for some, long time.
Jesus, man, you're gonna put me to sleep here with a long. All right, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Now we're gonna move into. Did you become from HR pro? You're an HR consultant, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And this was, how would I say? I didn't plan. But I resigned from the last company. And then, yes, I needed a visa and a work permit to stay in Thailand. And I didn't want to go back to the Philippines. And I don't think, because I've been here like more than 10 years that time when I resigned for the last company I've worked with. And I said, what am I going to do? What I'm going to do? But you know, if you are destined to do something, even if you feel like it seemed impossible, things will actually happen. And I was able to open my own and register my own training and consulting company.
Mm-hmm.
I met the people who I needed to meet that time, and I was able to register my business in date to have the visa and work permit to stay in Thailand.
Excellent.
And now, yeah, and now in March, I'm going to celebrate my 10th year
Wow.
as an HR consultant.
10 years as an HR consultant.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. But I'm telling you, it's like this is an experience that I will always cherish because I was able to work with different companies, with different individuals that
Yeah.
allowed me to learn. I'm sure, Elena, you yourself as an HR consultant, I'm sure you've been with different companies, with different
Yeah.
individuals who, in one way or another, actually help us to also grow as
Impact
HR.
their life, yes, and change even the employees. Every single termination, I learned something. Every single termination. And dealing with termination is one of the most difficult things to deal with at the labor with employees. Not so much as disciplining, but ending somebody's employment, being the person who executes that. And we don't have an everyday relationship. They have an everyday relationship with the colleagues and with the managers. So it is definitely a big process to learn. And I guess in my family, somebody needs to be disconnected from medical machine. They're going to call me, right? Since I have that experience already. But
Please come and unplug.
I think they call me the Terminator for some very famous insurance company because that's the only reason why they call me, to pull the
Oh,
plug.
wow.
Yeah, the
Oh, wow.
Terminator. And every time I was there, I just say, I'll be back.
So the people, every time they see you, it's like, here we go again.
Yeah.
She's
No,
back.
that's what they do already. No matter where I go. That's how employees see me. Okay, are you here for who's in trouble, Elena? Yeah. When they see me, it's like not definitely. I'm like the bad wish that you don't want to have, right? Sometimes, but oh well.
The lady Terminator. Yes.
Yes, the lady Terminator. Mm-hmm. with a good fashion, with a good style. All right. So, HR consultant, what happened after that?
Wow. Well, how can I start? So, as an HR consultant, I was able to work with different companies. And then when I actually started as an HR consultant, that was the time as well that I decided to pursue my doctoral degree. Same time. Same time. And I was unemployed. I opened my own business. Yes, opened my own business. I didn't have that much money in the bank, but I decided, I took the risk. I started the small business of training and consulting. And at the same time, I decided this is also the right time for me to pursue my doctoral degree. And so I did. And then I finished it. And then that time, I don't know why it was, I don't want to say it's an epiphany and that's like happened just like that. But I was thinking and thinking and thinking that there's something else that I can do. I didn't even reflect to the whole career journey that I had that we already discussed, like started as a nurse and then as now to HR consultant. But I felt that something is still missing and that there's something I can still do. And that's the time I thought of becoming a sex therapist.
Sex therapist.
Yes.
All right. Now we're going to get to the spicy stuff. All right.
Hot and spicy.
Everybody's been waiting for that.
Yeah.
Let's just get over that. Okay. Sex therapist. And I hope it's the same definition that we have here, but what does that mean in Philippines? I mean, pardon me, in Thailand.
Sex therapist, actually, it's not, when you say sex therapist, people can relate. But when you say sex, because I didn't become a sex therapist, I became a sex coach and a sex consultant.
What is, okay, those are so many titles, right? You're going to have to spell that down for
let
me
me start.
very, very slowly. What is one? What is the other? And what is the other, right? This is what I asked because I have never hired any of those. So I want to know what that is about, right? Who knows?
I'm ready to give the details.
Yeah, I might be one of your clients at the end of this podcast. But first, let's learn this. The
As a sex therapist, you also have the background of psychology, and then you do therapy.
Okay, and
So you can work with people with trauma when it comes to being sex therapy, but you need also have a psychology background. For me, I was a nurse. I had a medical background, but not as a psychologist, not in psychology.
Okay,
so to become
that had to wait a little.
correct. So to become a sex therapist, so I contacted many companies, institutes, or universities. Nothing in Asia. It's either I go to Europe or US. And I was able to find this one in the US, Sexual Health Alliance, that I contacted. And then I took certified sex coaching and sex consulting. Sex coaching and consulting, you can help individuals and couples to educate them about sexual well-being, sexual wellness, about intimacy, sexual intelligence. Sex therapy is more than that. So I cannot be a sex therapist because I didn't have psychology background.
What is sex intelligence means?
Remember, I'm sure you've read and you know about emotional intelligence.
Yes. Yes.
IQ, social. I saw your face there. Yeah. Sexual intelligence, you have this knowledge about your sexuality, of who you are, the authentic you.
Okay, my sexual business into the world. Okay, so how do you help them? Give me an example.
I'll give an example. Like I had some clients.
Yeah.
Who they were not sure whether they like men or women. So I helped them. I had the assessment. We had the session. I coached them, and they consulted me. And then I guide them and help them to really discover what they really want, their sexual preference.
Well, that's very interesting and I guess very important. You know, and I didn't realize that individuals will seek for help just to figure that out.
I'm telling you, Elena, a lot of people, because there's so much misinformation about sex. That's why people, they always don't want to talk about sex.
I want
They
to talk
just,
about sex. I love talking about sex. Let's talk about sex
let's talk
in
about sex,
every single
baby.
way.
But not everybody is like you, Elena.
Well,
They hear
well,
sex,
and
it's like,
well, and I mean, the position assistant and employers and HR. This is like my secret life. That is not so much secret anymore, right? But
now you're revealing it to everyone.
now everybody's gonna know that I use the word sex. Therefore, I added in my podcast, right? Because it is a lot of very controversial, and there's a lot of taboos. What is the biggest taboo that is about sex in Thailand? And I'm not sure it's going to be the same in the entire world, but let's just start with Thailand.
For me, the word sex itself is already taboo for them.
You're
They
right.
hear the word sex, they already like, ooh. They already don't want to talk about it. And every time they know that I'm a sex coach and a sex consultant, they always say, there is a job about sex coach and sex consultant. And one of the weirdest questions I have received is, Arnie, do you do demonstration?
Arnie, do you do demonstrations? Wow.
And Elena, I said to that person, if I do demonstration, probably I will only have 1 or 2 clients a day. I don't think I will have that enough energy to do 6, 5, or even 3 times demonstration a day. So it's like, they don't really, I'm sorry, a lot of people, they really don't know what is sex all about. When they hear the word sex, they only think of the intercourse itself.
I'm going to ask you a question. So, in conversations with some men and very good friends of mine, when I use the word intimacy, immediately they think of sex.
Yes.
I would love to let's just do another episode only to talk about the different, the sex, about sex and everything that is. How important? I'm gonna ask you a question. Here we go. How important is for an individual identity to be sexually intelligent?
It's very important because to have that holistic awareness of who you are, or that holistic identity, your sexuality is a part of it. Because normally we talk about your skills, you talk about your emotions, you talk about your intelligence, but no one is your social skills. But we normally don't talk about how about your sexuality. That's why, Elena, I'm sure you've experienced that there are some people, when I first came here in Thailand, a lot of LGBTQ members were not that out, especially if they are in that, like, have the possibility and potential to be on a higher position. Because you all know, I'm sure the listeners know, when in Thailand, it's more open for LGBTQ. But for
Well,
me,
it is perceived, yeah.
yes. But yes and no. The answer is yes and no. Somehow, if you're on a higher position, especially when I first came here, yeah, you're gay, we accept you, but you to become a manager, it's more open now than before. When I first came here, it was not that open. But until now, you can still see some people who unconsciously and consciously are with biases when it comes to LGBTQ to become their managers. You in a way, especially those trans, it's difficult for some to accept. If they're open, yeah, you're trans, we're okay. And then when it comes to workplace, somehow it's different.
So what you're saying is that in the private life it should be okay, but then once they're going to be hired, some people might have challenges with that.
Yes.
Well, that's completely unacceptable here in California. Definitely not.
Yes. But as I said, sometimes it's not expressed, but
Yeah.
you can see, you can feel. That's why for me, knowing your sexual identity, having that sexual intelligence is very important because you're bringing authenticity. Can you imagine? you know your emotions, you know your intelligence, you know your social skills, but you don't know, you know your physical thing, but your physical thing is connected with your sexuality.
I'm going to say that you are absolutely right. And that was probably my case until I reached certain age. And then I was able to express or be comfortable with that. And I think, I don't know everybody's situation. There's a lot of, like you said, just the word sex is a taboo, right? It has
Yes.
to do a lot of with how we grow up, our authority that we subordinate, and the fact that religiously we have to behave in a certain way, and also with all the changes in the world. I was just having a conversation not long ago with an individual who was talking about all the women power and how women now choose, and all that sexual revolution that started in the 60s, he was saying, and it still continue to be a taboo in the world.
Yes.
It's interesting because in California, in California and many parts in the world, uh, cannabis, marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it, it used to be a crime to carry that or having it or consume it. So when I was in high school, is you don't hang out with those kids. In human resources in California, now you have to protect those individuals, right? And now they have to be not like that. Maybe I didn't use the right word, but by mean they have certain protections.
Yes.
It's very interesting how we evolve, and there's certain parts of us that don't. And it's just in the freedom. And I also, by the way, we have a conversation with an individual who, for the most part of his life, he was in the 80s. He was already at age to make a decision to be free and, go on with his life. And he saw how people were dying of AIDS, and he decided to survive, and he decided to
Oh.
marry a woman. And he was definitely gay. He knew he was gay. And after that marriage ended, which by the way ended by the wife
Oh.
outsourcing the relationship with another woman. Interesting, right? And at that point, at 52, he started his life with a new identity he had to figure out. So I don't think a lot of individuals actually understand that it's not just a decision. And I know very little based on conversations and friends, but it's not just that you make a decision, I am this or that, you help them with that, but now they transform the entire life around that.
You see how important it is, and look at that example, that story that you just shared. It took him many years.
50, I cannot imagine hiding for 52 years. And of course, we all do that by not being authentic, not being able to express and say. And I have met so many men that look, extraordinary on paper, but they're hurting. And I'm not saying because they're gay, just because they are not authentic. Same thing with women, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
all, I think, gone through that.
Yes. So it's very important. That's why if I would like to add this one, because during the holiday I was able, because I've been doing workshops or HR job for more than 20 years. And then only recently that I was able to actually develop my own signature workshops. And both of these are very related to sex. One, I call it from the bedroom to the boardroom. And I want to tell people that the skills that you have and needed in the bedroom are actually the same skills you can use in the boardroom.
From the bedroom to the boardroom. I'm going to steal that, Arnie. I'm like, I'm telling you in public already, I'm going to steal that. That's going to be my line from now.
Yeah, because I want to tell the people, because they always say like, what? And as I said, and I'm sure you experience it, that you just say sex, people are already like, they're already negative.
Yes, they're like, what? But I want to know
Yes.
more. I want to know more. I just don't want nobody to know that I want to know more. That's what it is.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. But some of the young people here, the young generation in Thailand, we can see the changes. They're open to talk about it, but
I
not the
think,
older ones.
well, there's a revolution, right? With even right now, the most world known singer is going to be Bud Bunny, who's going to be in the Super Bowl. And he has he does whatever he wants. He dresses with a wedding dress, he dresses with dresses, I guess, right? And
Yes.
whatever wants. So, and we tend to follow anything that is trendy, right? And whatever that opens, I'm sure some individuals are being more open and it's helping them in a way, and some others not because you know we're different, right?
Yes.
So this is a very interesting thing. And what is the most important thing that you have learned through being a, I'm gonna say, sex coach?
Yes.
Okay.
What I've learned with all the clients I've met and I had the chance or opportunity to talk to is actually it's a very important part of our life that I don't understand why it is not allowed to be discussed openly. Just like asking someone like, what did you have for breakfast? We in this field, we really want to normalize that. We want people to have that openness to talk about it.
So you're saying instead of asking what do you have for breakfast, says who do you have for breakfast?
Probably hope to say that one day that we can say that because a breast is a breast, a penis is a penis. Why you have to use bird?
That's true.
That you know what I mean? That's why some people are confused, especially the young ones. And then if you don't educate them properly with this kind of discussion, especially in the family, they will learn from pornography. So which one is even
Absolutely.
worse?
The pardon me. Let me ask you about this. Let me tell you about my inspiration and creating this, and then I want to know what you think about this. My inspiration and creating this podcast is, first of all, I have so many years of studying my mind and I fail. So I took the easy way and I start talking to men and trying to understand.
Okay. I like that. And I started talking to men.
So
Okay.
I decided, like, this is not going to happen. Let's just focus on men now. Intimate conversations with men. If you compare in the statistics, men versus women, and I know I am aware that there's so many more definitions of that, so I want to be just more general. The statistics indicate that the number of men who commit suicidals at a different ages is much larger in men. There is a part that is broken in the intimacy. And speaking with a psychologist that we created this together, this concept, this podcast, he has daughters, and he says that the majority of men between the age of 18 and 30, the intimacy they have created toward a woman, an exchange of intimacy with a woman, has been replaced by video games, would mean one of those, AI, and pornography. That's the intimacy that they are experiencing, and those individuals are going to be the father of their grandkids, right? So because he has daughters, and it's a big concern. Pardon me. Intimacy is a big, 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 big subject, right? So with between and I'm only referring as intimacy as in, what you and I having right now. It's an intimate moment here.
Correct. Yes.
Pardon me. Not in the bedroom, kind of, and this all. Although you almost invited me to your bedroom earlier when you wanted to do the podcast there, so
Almost.
almost. And I was gonna go wherever you take me, Arnie, wherever it goes, right? So, what is your What is your opinion about this?
It's sad because, as I said, because when I started doing sex coaching and sex consulting, actually, not even before I started this career. But when I started learning more about this, reading more about this, I felt very sad because I myself experienced that wherein it's not open to talk about sex, to ask about something like this. Because even in the Philippines, especially because of our religion, most of us are Catholics. I'm a practicing Catholic. It's just like, but you cannot just leave sexuality from who you are as a person because it's part of it. If we're not part of it, then you won't have your reproductive system. I won't have my reproductive system, and we're not going to reproduce. Why we're doing it, but we're not allowed to talk about it? I don't understand. And the more learning I had, the more readings I had, the more I understand that this is really important. And it's sad if the intimacy will be replaced by the video games, AI. I know some people actually confess to me that I need if I'm alone because nowadays connection, and I've read that connection will be even a bigger problem in the next few years because more and more people actually in Thailand, do you know if you go to the trains, almost everyone are on their mobile phones. They're not even looking at other people.
Oh yeah, I definitely. I mean, I'm a single woman, but when I find that man, I mean, I see so many couples in the restaurants when they're each one in their phone, and it's just from me being such a lover of connections and intimate conversations. That's definitely hard to see. What I was gonna go with individuals, how cannabis was not allowed before, and now it is. I perceive that the same thing can happen with sex, where there's more conversations, more communications, more awareness, more classes, more information. We need information. And it's such a big taboo that instead of like you said, it's such a natural thing that we probably wouldn't see it as bad or illegal, like cannabis, right?
Yeah.
Now it's legal as we do now. And probably is what creates other like pornography, right?
Yes.
I mean, it could be as simple as just connecting with another human.
Yeah, that's why it's sad because, like as I said, I wasn't able to mention that I know some people who actually talk to AI instead of talking to their friends.
Yeah.
And I said, how come? And they said, no, Annie, it's easy. And it's like, why don't you call a friend? No, it's okay. I said, oh, wow, I don't know what to say because
That's,
the social connections is. Do you remember this experiment? I forgot, Elena, the experiment wherein I think is it UCLA, one of the universities, biggest universities in the US, wherein they followed this group of people from when they were in primary school up to the age that they retire, and then most people who had that longer life and happier life are the ones with social connections.
oh, absolutely. They even said how healthy is for, how it's very common to talk about the narcissistic relationships, right? So the individuals who have a social, group, it's very important. First of all, they will be less involved in that kind of relationships because that's the first thing they isolate the prey. And in case of break up with any other relationship, your friends are the ones who are going to be there for, help you
Yes.
emotionally. So absolutely, I 100% agree on that. Uh, there's also comes with that also comes with some challenges, the social connection. But the thing is that most individuals perceive the challenges as something that is not desired, but maximum growth and development occurs at the border of support and challenge, which means the more support we are, the more challenges are going to be. And, as a test, ask this individual who actually feels supported by AI, who is challenging you? And the more challenge it perceived from that, whoever it is, it's going to be the most support from AI. And yes, AI is replacing parents, mentors, teachers, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends,
Yes.
romantic partners. That's what AI is doing. And this is why, for me, it's so alarming. And I need to talk about this. This is important. We need to bring awareness and solutions.
Yes, soon we have to do something about this. That's why I came up with this idea, Elena. I always call people who are always on their social media scrolling, even if they are in a social gatherings, they are isolated, connected. They are connected, yes, by these gadgets, but they are also isolated at the same time.
Absolutely. This
And
is very interesting and very alarming. I said that definitely 2020 created a separation from humans, sexual harassment, the fact that, we don't know, and then women power that, nobody can be touched. The majority of men, they're not touched after they're 10 years old. They're not touching, usually. So disconnect physically as well. Men, we have, women, we have girlfriends, we cry, we connect in a way or another. For men, it's more difficult. And if he has insecurities, it's going to be more difficult to even connect with other, partners, romantic partners.
yes, yes. Men, as you already mentioned it, that there are more men who committed suicide. Even when I was a student, when I was studying nursing, and one of the practices is to actually have the time period of a period of time to be in a mental hospital. And that's the time I've learned that actually more men are actually in mental hospitals than women. And I think it's still I think it's still the same up to now.
But think about this. In the primal times, right? That everything is defined in the relationship, we go back to that era, right? The men and the women and the different things. But women, we nurture, right? That's like our gift. Men are protectors, right? When you talk about that, and even in the differences between men and women, men are known for their intelligence or the profession. That's what define a man before. I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about 2026. I'm talking about the root of human behavior. And even with that, that means the men have the ability to be even possibly at that time more intelligent, or the intelligence was something that stand out. And yet, not able, you said mental hospitals, right?
Yes.
Even
Yes.
mental, and they're not
Yeah.
able to process certain things, right? This is very interesting. Do you perceive that probably is because they're not able to communicate?
Express themselves, yes. Because there are a lot of beliefs. I'm not sure if it's applicable to the US, but at least in Asia, especially in the Philippines, men are not really allowed to cry. If you cry, you're gay. Or if you are emotionally expressive, you're gay, you're weak. Which is like, for me, see, I don't know, does it apply in the US as well, Elena?
Yes, very much. And you go to states like, I'm going to say Texas, because I have interviews multiple times with men here and the podcast, and they talk about that. When I was a little boy, my dad he never gave me a hug and told me, you're a boy. And other friends, I'm going to have an interview next week with an individual who told me from Europe. So it's everywhere. Who said, when I was a little boy, I cried because I miss my dad. And he told me, if you ever cry again, I'm going to send you to school outside here. That I'm not going to see you. So I stopped expressing emotions. And he's definitely probably in his 60s. And he says, I'm finally learning to express my emotions. So I was in shock. He was one of the individuals who inspired me to do this. And my clients, I primarily work with males, and they tell me, Elena, we are in pain. I am in pain, or men are in pain, because they talk among themselves, right? Sometimes in the pain of not being able to express, to communicate, because they were told from the beginning, if you're a boys don't cry.
Yes. Yes.
And that therefore men are not vulnerable and don't express. And by that, if you cry, you're going to be weak, and men are strong. That's all
Yes.
the other part of the man, right?
Yes. Yes. So same thing. That's why probably this is one of the reasons why there are more men who have mental health issues and just like what you said, commit suicide.
The repression of holding on into that. So yeah, this is a problem, and this is a problem that I am aware, and this is a problem that I'm not saying that I'm going to resolve in my lifetime, but I definitely want to create more attention to this. And there's so many other things that are not helping, but let's just stay with the fact that maybe be a little more conscious that if we have little boys,
Mm.
let him cry, let him express.
Yes. Yes to that. That's why it's part, you see, it's part of this sex coaching and sex consulting because sexuality is a part of it, who you are, who you truly are.
Definitely. Thank you for being a sex coach and sex consultant. Now tell me
Yes.
what's the difference.
The sex coaching, you listen to them. Of course, it's a combination because, like for me, I can as an HR consultant. That's why I don't really consider myself a coach. I don't know in the US, but it's big in Asia now for almost probably 7, 10 years now. People are all coaches here: career coach, relationship coach, leadership coach, whatever it is. It's coach, 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 coach. And I always tell people that I cannot just like listen to people. I need to tell them what to do because sometimes you need to be told what to do because you can't figure it out. Because if
Well,
you can figure it out, you won't seek help.
yeah, and we all have our answers. We all have the answers in our body
Yes.
and our
Yes.
mind are the answers of everything that we seek outside. If we just close our eyes, we can find them inside, right?
Yes. Yes. So,
Yes, there's a huge movement about coach. You're right, coach for everything. Before it used to be only the coaches from the sports,
basketball. Yeah.
and now you have coach for everything for my men. So yeah, you can say you're sex coach. I call myself facilitator, but in order for people to understand better what I do, I say I'm like a coach. I don't even
Okay.
I don't even like the word. I thinking, it's like a cheap for flying, coach, fly coach. I don't even
Yes.
connect with the word, and it's just a word, a fashionable word, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
And so, is there any specific case that you would like to share, or either inspiring or sad, or some emotions here in one of the cases as a sex with all the titles that you have?
Sex coach and a sex consultant. For me, my only thing is I would like to encourage everyone to just express yourself and don't consider sex as taboo. It should be considered as to be discussed, to be talked about, to be shared.
That.
Right? It's because you always say it's taboo, taboo. And sex is not just about the intercourse, not the action itself. It's actually about relationship. It's about who you truly are, the authentic you. Can you imagine? Again, we go back to the story that you shared earlier about the men who, after 52 years,
Beautiful
came
man.
out. Can you imagine if how many people are actually out there and you are working? You are totally different person after work and you are totally different person in the office.
It
Can you
breaks my heart.
imagine the struggle and the challenge that I cannot express who I truly am at work because people will judge me, people will tell me that oh like this and like that they won't like me, I won't get the promotion. And then you go back home, you're tired because you're pretending to be someone who you are really not are like that. And then can you imagine 8 hours and
Can
you
you
let people
imagine
say
24
yourself?
hours and years like he did?
Yes. Actually, I have a similar story in the Philippines, Elena. It's like also a man, one of our neighbors. I think it was at the age of late 50s, even later than the story you shared. That's the time he came out. All the children were already in their 30s, in their 20s. That's the time he came out. And it's like, I was thinking, it's like, at that age, I was already a nurse. It's like, oh, wow, that must be really a very hard life for him to live for many years.
But he did it. How many
Yes,
people actually die?
yes, yes. But I also want, in this, regarding this, I also want to encourage people not to push others to come out. Coming out is something personal.
Yeah, that's what this gentleman said. He says, "It says I said, what do you have to advise?" He said, just leave him alone. I don't have any advice, and that was very interesting to learn. And I haven't worked with a case like that. It's just hasn't I haven't had the experience. But for me, there's no difference between coming out because you have a different sex preference and really being authentic, because both is about hiding your authenticity and what you want and who you really are, and living in the life of others expect you to live instead of your own life, which is the same, right? For both.
Yeah.
We all have that. I have been in that situation where I was subordinating to different things until I decided to do me. This is my favorite thing to do, me.
There you go. Yes. Yeah. Can you imagine how happy these people can be if they can really be who they are?
Yeah, absolutely. Find
So for me, that's my thing that I want to share with everyone in terms of sex coaching and sex consulting. I really want people to really accept who they are. I know it's not easy. It takes time, but at least start.
Arnie, how about in the class from the bedroom to the boardroom? Share with me something that your students learn.
Actually, this is a very new workshop. I never facilitated this workshop. I just finished this during New Year. And there's another one I called Into Me CUIM.
I see. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that brochure. Yeah.
Yes, I'm going to launch a business in Cambodia next week on the 12th, and they are going to experience the sneak peek of Into Me CUIM, but not the from the bedroom to the boardroom. But basically, there are similarities between these two workshops, and I can't wait what they will actually say and experience and the feedback that I'm going to receive.
I really hope that we can bring it to the United States. We'll figure it out. You and I will figure this out to bring it here. And
We can do online.
yeah, for sure. That's what I mean. Alam niyo, San Diego.
Unless
Yeah.
I will fly to San Diego. I know someone in San Diego.
Well,
As the sister of my Filipino best friend working in a hospital.
hello?
And of course, Elena. Yes, the class, I don't know actually what they will say, but a lot of people already like very interested. And they said, really?
I have clients already interested because I've been talking about you since we met, which is not long ago, but you are so fascinating to me that I'm talking about you. All right. So, sex, not expert, but sex knowledge. Where do we go from there? Where to next?
What's next? To become a psychologist. So because it's not possible for me to become a sex therapist, I needed to be a psychologist first. So what I did is after my course as a sex coach and sex consultant, I took another master degree in psychology. And I'm still a student at the moment. And I'm about to start the practicum part of it, of really dealing with clients face to face. So I'm studying to become a psychologist now, Masters of Science in Clinical Psychology. Hopefully I can finish next year. And finally, like, become a sex therapist in the near future. Or maybe I'll just continue as a sex coach and a sex consultant with psychology and doing some therapy.
What is going to stop you from continue your careers?
That's a question that a lot of people are actually, it's not only my career, but also in learning. I never stop. I never stop. As you saw from my profile, right? There are no even gaps in the years wherein I don't study.
That's me. That's my highest value. Learning is my highest value, and there's every day something new to learn for sure. And if we don't learn something new every day, we wasted a day.
Yes, correct. So I don't think there will be a day that I will stop evolving. And I actually, some people say, Anya, are you going to retire? I don't think of retiring. I'm thinking of rewiring.
Mm.
How else can I do something
You,
else?
you know what breaks my heart sometimes when I think of the teachers of this nation. I have seen heard so many of them that they know exactly what they will be. They will stop and retired, and they're looking forward. And those individuals who can't wait to get out of the educational system are the ones educating our kids.
Yes.
When you're not inspired to do what you do, it's because you're doing something that is not what you meant to do. And some individuals said, like, it's good to be in the same career for many years. And some others are switching. You know, to give credit to those who change jobs every 6 months, they're learning probably different skills, different things, right?
Yes.
Something's got to. I don't want to say be good or bad because it's just going to be a definition that we give. But in the process of going in your life and learning different things and switching from career, what has been the biggest lesson on that? What has been your biggest fear, biggest lesson?
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest fear is not to succeed in that career. But honestly speaking, changing that career from one career after another, Elena, during the process, I was not even aware of actually I was changing career like totally different.
So you
I
just
wasn't aware of that.
wow.
I had the awareness of like, wow, I changed my career totally like as a nurse, be midwife. Nurse and midwife still very, very connected because it's both in the medical field. But to kindergarten teacher, English teacher without even the proper education. But one of the things that I will add before I answer the greatest lesson is that because we're talking about being intimate with your career, right?
Intimate with your career, yeah.
Yes. The biggest realization that I had when I believe I had this when I became an HR consultant. And every time someone asks me, like, Annie, how can I change career? Annie, how can I do this? Annie, what do you think? Can you give me some advice? There are three things that I realized that actually I've been doing again and again and again every time I change my career. Number one, I always deepen my knowledge about that particular, like for example, when I became a kindergarten teacher, I didn't have any background of education. So switching from nurse and midwife to become a kindergarten teacher, I stayed in that school longer. Like we finish at 2 o'clock, but I would stay until 5, until 6. And I observed the teachers who are really teachers. I asked them, please tell me what to do. I deepened my knowledge about that. That's one thing that I learned. Number two is that I allowed myself a constant practice. I practice and I practice and I practice. Not because practice makes it perfect, but because practice makes progress.
That's true.
So I that's what one of the realizations. So I aside from deepening my knowledge, I was able to practice. So I put it into practice. Like I became an HR. Gosh, I bought books to deepen my knowledge, but at the same time, I practice it. And then I asked, can I do this? Can I do that? Because without practicing, I don't think you will have that kind of intimate relationship with your career.
Oh my gosh. So what you mean is life is both a university and a gymnasium. You have to
Correct.
learn the paper part and then practice the muscle.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Because even if you know you have the knowledge, but you're not practicing it, I think it's useless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the last part.
I agree. I agree. And the last one.
And the last one is you have that emotional connection with what you do. It's either you are emotionally connected with the people that you work with, or you're emotionally involved with what you do. You're really into it. Just like what you said, all of us, we have talents. There are some things that we do it like flow. Like even like you're not thinking about it, but you can instantly like can do it. That's why in my interviews, when I do recruitment, I always tell them like, what is it that you do that you can do without really being conscious of doing it?
Correct. Let me ask you this, that you're saying that. When men say, I'm fine, what do you perceive is they're really saying around shame or fear? I'm fine. I'm fine is never really fine.
I think it applies both, not just for men, but also for me, women in general. Most of the time, people who say they're fine, because here in Thailand, Elena, it's especially when I first came here because of the language, it's very easy for them to say, I'm fine, thank you, and you. I'm fine, thank you, and you. Every time you ask people, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you. I'm fine, thank you. That's why every time I do
It's just like a
communication,
standard. Mhm.
yeah, it becomes a standard. It becomes like a default. Like when someone asks me, how are you? I'm fine, thank you, and you. That's why in my communication workshops, I always tell them, please say something else. If you're hungry, then say, I'm hungry. I'm happy. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. You cannot just say, even if you're
My
like, some
tummy
people,
hurts.
some people are saying, I'm fine, thank you, and you. And they will say, I said, how come you're fine, thank you, and you, and you're even coughing? It's totally fine because you see, even the emotions, because emotions, we always think of controlling our emotions instead of thinking that I need to manage my emotions.
Absolutely. You know, Speaking of emotions, okay, so finish that thought, and I have another question.
Yeah, so that one. So again, you have to be emotionally connected because it means you are in love. When you are in love, you like it, right? It's like you're excited. If you're not emotionally connected with what you do, I don't think you will be excited to do it. And that's my realization. But this happened only when I became an HR consultant and working with these different companies and individuals, especially the management. Because it's like, oh, how I was able to actually move from one career to another. And not only that, I don't want to say humbly speaking, because this is actually what happened. I was able to be promoted in like the first job here in Thailand as a kindergarten teacher, only 1 month as an assistant teacher, I was promoted to become a regular teacher. I was in this company. I started as a section manager, as an HR. And then in the end, before I left, I was already assistant vice president. So for me, it's like, that's why I always tell people, listeners, please, I hope that you take note of this. If you're doing something for 5 years and you're not being promoted or nothing's happening, stop doing it. I think you don't have the future. It's
I
not for
love
you.
that concept. I love that concept.
Yeah, Elena, what do you think? You're a HR. You're doing the same thing for 5 years, but you're not promoted or you don't even
Well,
have any changes in that field or that job.
the
What will
definition
you
of
do?
the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, right? We have
Yes.
to change the way we do things in order to find results.
Yes. Yes. That's
Very,
why I always tell that to people.
yeah. You make me realize so many things. I was thinking, yeah, what about when people get married? Usually it takes about 2 years when they start fighting. And, you know, that's a different concept, right? That's not a job that it was at first. Everything is it's just like when you get a job. Oh, and then 2 years later, I hate you. I used to like when you talk so smart, and now you are just an ass. You are just you're too smart, and you don't shut up. Stuff like that.
But marriage is a job.
That didn't happen to me.
Elena, but relationships or marriage is also a job. That's why some people, I always tell them that you don't actually just wait it to happen. You make it happen.
I heard this gentleman who said in an interview that relationship now is it's another transaction, just another transaction that is becoming transactional, right? Okay. And for you listeners, take a moment to reflect on everything that was said here today and make the difference. Be the teacher, be the student, be whoever and whatever you want to be with everything that represents and identifies who you are. A kiss to all of you. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Thank you.